Hey everybody, you're listening to Suchitra's Life with me, Suchitra. So, for today's episode, I've picked up a memoir called Uncanny Valley, written by Anna Wiener. At present, the world is ruled by startups, and it is forecasted that the startup culture is going to bring a change that we may not really be ready for, but it's inevitable. Anna, the writer of this memoir, has worked in quite a bunch of startups and she's got a different opinion altogether. In her memoir, she talks about Silicon Valley and the startup culture as an insider, the one who's a part of the system and which is providing her the livelihood. In this book, she talks about her experiences working at an ebook startup, an analytics startup, and finally an open source startup. She paints a very different view of the startup ecosystem, the system that is manufacturing wants that are not really needed. For example, at the ebook startup, the founders were hardly interested in the books, but were building the app just so that they can grow and eventually sell it to a larger company. And during her stint at the analytics startup is when she realizes that the startup ecosystem is not what it truly seems to be. Anna notices that people working there have access to data sets that are confidential. Users, once sign up believing that their privacy is protected, are totally oblivious of the fact that employees can have access to all of their data and is not even questioned by any of them. Anna takes up a customer support role at the analytics and the open source startup, only to realize that her job actually doesn't really have much meaning, as she just acting as a support to these startups who are simply creating apps and trying to grab a piece of the market. A large part of the memoir documents her disappointment in her role and constantly thinking of her friends who are not a part of the startup ecosystem but are doing something really meaningful with their lives. While I was reading this memoir, I realized that I think this realization is something people are getting these days, because just now we've witnessed the great resignation period. It's one such outcome, of people realizing that there's more to their lives than just the job that they are holding, be it in a startup or not. Anna also talks a lot about the toxicity in the startup culture as well. It's an interesting memoir. I know startups are important, but reading this memoir would act like a reality check for many of us, is what I felt. I definitely cannot stop myself from using many apps, but probably we got to be more cautious and think before you use any apps or any services, because whatever you do, you're leaving a digital footprint. And Anna, in her memoir, talks about how this data could be handled by people out there. This memoir kind of shook me up a little. I think I would go back and think about my usage of apps or any other services out there. I'll be more cautious, and I hope you all consider being cautious online as well. Merry Christmas to you all out there. Until next time, take care.